Why did Disney's new Snow White go from this?
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
To this.
The cartoon's so beloved. It's like a monumental moment in film history.
Yeah.
It was like the first feature-length cartoon movie. All of these amazing things that happened for that film are the reason that you and I really get to sit here today, because it made Disney what it is.
Well, maybe it's because Disney ended last year with their biggest flop in Strange World. Then their films continued to flail with their live-action Little Mermaid, their original animated movie they wish they never made, and had an actual record-breaking box office bomb in their Marvel franchise. As Forbes reported that they spent nearly $1 billion this year on financial failures, Disney is getting concerned on the live-action remake of Snow White. Now, casting Gal Gadot as the evil queen, with Rachel Zegler as Snow White, seems somewhat promising. That is until you realize she actually despises the source material.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Which reminds me of when Netflix tried to do a live-action remake of the beloved Cowboy Bebop anime. But then their female lead opened her mouth.
And I just wanted to address a couple of things that sort of keep coming up in the comments amongst fans. First, I wanted to apologize to the fans that I did not anatomically match the Faye Valentine character. You know, there was talk about, like, can we put Daniela in a time machine and maybe give her different parents so she has different genetic information to sort of make her look better? It proved to be too complicated.
As nearly everybody saw Netflix's Cowboy Bebop as a massive failure. Hollywood is like a Christian rock band that hires a lead singer that not only hates the Bible, but the people that read and enjoyed it, which is kind of a reoccurring theme with modern day Disney. Were their original movies a bit misogynistic? I don't know, maybe. But why take a job making money for a company that you allegedly hate? That's like me saying, I don't like how Raytheon profits off war, so I'm gonna become the new face of the company, and now we're not going to profit off the military. Hey, why won't our existing customers purchase our new, completely irrelevant, nonsensical garbage? Now, I can somewhat understand accidentally casting an activist actress saboteur, but Disney's issues don't stop there, as for whatever reason they had to generate diversity into German dwarves, and they obviously got backlash for these nonsensical attempts at inclusion, as audiences are simply tired of it, when even Netflix begins to receive criticism for frequently race-swapping their characters for seemingly no reason. The one thing I need to point out is people always seem to complain that these color swaps only seem to go one way, but that's simply not the case. Just look at the Pennsylvania State Police somehow labeling these fine gentlemen as white. The Texas Department of Public Safety seems to do the same with these other white men, and even Virginia sees these very Chinese and Vietnamese names as white. So Asian male erasure in Hollywood is nothing new, but it honestly never bothered me. Tom Cruise as the Last Samurai, Jared Leto as the new Yakuza boss, the Dragon Ball movie with... Okay, I actually do take offense to that, but for very different reasons. But I just find no importance in making sure I personally feel represented in the media I consume. Most people see the hero of the story and automatically identify with that character, not whatever actor in the cast that most looks like a Port Korean with curly hair and a Christopher Walken-style speech pattern, which makes Snow White even more nonsensical. Just imagine for a moment that you're one of those Mickey Mouse fanatics that happens to be a minority, and you hear Disney is doubling down on diversity in their new Snow White. So you get super excited to be included in the reimagination, only to find that Disney doesn't see you as the princess. No, your identity gets represented as a dwarf that works in a local mine. It really shows how short-sighted and sort of insulting inclusion turns out to be. So maybe that's why the new Snow White is being booted by a year and recasting all the randomized diversity with something much more like the original material. And honestly, I really like this. I'm not to the point that I want to see entire companies fail, as they employ nearly 250,000 people, many of which likely silently despise the direction their boss is heading down, which is pretty much how every industry is. Because at the end of the day, I still enjoy big budget blockbusters, and there's only a few companies that can actually fund them. So I like it when Paramount tries to make a movie about Sonic the Hedgehog. They preview this monstrosity that mocks the original material, but listens to the fan base and actually makes an amazing movie that becomes a box office hit, getting several sequels, potentially saving Paramount's movies. And now that you have a successful Sonic franchise, and a mega hit with the Mario movie, and there's already a phenomenal Pokemon movie, and a rumor that the Star Fox film is finally getting some footing, the single greatest crossover blockbuster since the Avengers is right there begging to be made. They couldn't print more money if they did another pandemic, and all of this is possible just because a movie studio listened to their loyal fan base. Because I'll be honest, I enjoy nerdy things, and seeing Captain America and Endgame summon Thor's hammer at the movie theater is like a core memory for me, and witnessing Iron Man's story conclude after over a decade was nothing short of cinematic magic. But somehow Disney saw this and thought, yeah, if you like that, you'll probably love what looks like Michael Jackson in greenface twerking with possibly the most irrelevant person to the superhero niche. I know this is awful, you know this is awful, and now Disney's accountant knows this is awful. So seeing Snow White's lead actress suddenly switch up how she speaks about the source material may seem insignificant. And side note, using alliteration is fun until I start using S's and you're listening in noise-canceling headphones, so I'm sorry. But witnessing Snow White praising the original stories, I honestly think and hope this is the first step in Disney returning to actually seeing their films as entertainment and not a soapbox. So if you appreciate alliteration over my concise, lighthearted commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on how race grifting in sports journalism is finally backfiring.